Hello and welcome to On the Kerbs. I'm your host, Timo Albus Daly. Joining me this week is racing driver, photographer, and motorsport technician Constanza Blanco. We caught up a little while back to chat about how and why she got into all of these different but related walks of life, what it's been like to be part of the Rafa Racing Club so far, how her first time out racing ended with a proper crash, and much more. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi Constanza, thank you very much for being here today. First of all, how are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. First question I like to ask everyone I talk to on here, what first got you interested in motorsport?
So when I was, my dad has always been like a motorsport fanatic, mostly not motorsport, but like classic cars. He likes to collect cars. And when
There's
I
worse
was
hobbies.
little, yeah, he bought a go-kart with my uncle, but they did it like just like on Sundays they went to the track and they never like raced. And when I was like about 3-4 years old, I was like, I need to get in, I need to get in. And my dad was like, you're too young. And once when I was like 4, the mechanic of the track was like, oh, they're selling a like a mini cart, like they call it like that in Mexico. So she can try it, she'll get scared and she'll like leave
That
the thought
backfired.
off. Yeah. And I jumped into the car and I loved it. And I fell in love with the sport and everything.
You did the complete opposite of what they expected.
Yeah, exactly. And my dad was like, "Okay, well, I guess I'll buy a car for her." So yeah.
So what was the next step from there then? How did you decide, I guess, and then become a racing driver?
Okay, so when I was young, at first I wasn't like, oh, I want to be a racing driver. At first it was just something that I enjoyed with my family on the weekends. And when I was about 8 or like 9, I was like, I want to be a race car driver. Like that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I started like telling my dad, oh, I want to get into races and everything. But my dad like never thought it was like what I wanted to do. He thought like, oh, this is like a phase. She's gonna grow out of it, you know. So I never
You're still
actually
determined to see
raced.
that you aren't going to
Yeah,
go
I
through with
did
it.
some. I never raced like a championship. I did some kind of races that were near home, but I had a really close friend racing, and I was like, I want to go racing with him, and my dad was like, no, just like the races that are near us and whatever. And my first championship, the first championship I raced was when I was 15, and it was kind of a mess. I broke my hand in a crash, so
Was
it
this in a
didn't
kart
went that
or was this in
well.
a different car by then?
No, it was go-karts still.
There's not even any way you can put your hand to try and avoid that
Yeah,
from happening
no,
there.
yeah, no. We were coming out of the corner, and a guy like was too close to me, and he flew and landed on top of me, and I couldn't do anything, and my hand,
Not much you could do about that, no.
yeah. But yeah, I just knew I wanted to do that. I love the sport. I didn't do a lot of like racing. I have a lot of experience, but I didn't do like a championship where I can like show my experience. So going to another categories, it was hard because finding a sponsor without like, oh, I'm a champion or whatever, it's kind of hard.
You just go and like, I'm
That was
really
why.
passionate, please support me.
Yeah, exactly. But I did some Formula 4 testing and in the UK actually later. And when I
I
was,
spotted that.
yeah, when I was 15 and 16, I didn't do a championship because it was too expensive and I couldn't find enough sponsors. But it was really good. Like I was really close to like the times of the like the ones that
I
were
was going to
racing
say,
the
how
championship.
different was that for you, kind of going from
Yeah,
karting
it
to
was
such a
really,
different beast?
yeah, exactly. It was really fun. The downforce and everything you get in the Formula cars, it's really fun. But yeah, I did some Formula 4 testing and I loved it. And I wish I want to go back racing. I think I'm good. Obviously, everyone thinks they're the best, but yeah.
Well, you've got to have that self-confidence though, because if you don't, then the sponsors won't.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of my story with racing, with driving. And now I'm like looking into getting into GT cars, like Porsches or McLaren.
Are you looking anywhere in particular for that, or are you just kind of wherever the opportunity arises?
Yeah, right now I'm in a racing team that's called Rafa Racing. I'm and they have given me some like couple of opportunities to drive their cars, and it's been really fun. I drove the Porsche GT4, so I'm probably in the future I can get into GT cars. I loved it, but right now I'm just like whenever the opportunity arises, obviously I'm there.
So much I want to tap into there. I'm going to go back a little bit to start off with then. So
Yeah,
you started then
yeah.
racing a
I
bit
think
more.
I just threw you all the information.
So it's
Sorry.
excellent. Just there's plenty here. So you started racing back when you were kind of 15. You got into it properly then. What was your first race like? What experience-wise? Did you say karting? You knew you were passionate about it, but the first time can always be a little interesting.
Yeah, the first time, and obviously being a girl, I remember my first race in the US was like the big one, because in Mexico there's big races, but I it wasn't like that much people in like my
It
category.
felt like you'd actually kind of gone somewhere for this purpose, and it just felt bigger.
Yeah, the US. I did the winter tour, the rock winter tour, and I remember like arriving, and there were so many people. Like there was so many drivers my age and younger, and but it's still like that's when because in Mexico we were like there wasn't many. I was like, oh, it's not weird that I'm the only girl, because there's not a lot of people either way. But when I got to the US, there I think it was like a 200 drivers across all the categories, and we were like 5 girls, and I
I
was
wasn't
like,
sure
oh
what
my
number we
God.
were going to go with there. I had a bad feeling you were going to be the only one for a moment there.
No, it was me and another girl in my category, which was the one that had the most. But like one above, there was none. And I was like, that's crazy. We were like 35 drivers in my category, and just two are girls, and it was crazy. In Mexico, I never realized it, because we were not
It
that
wasn't
much.
something you would have thought about necessarily.
Yeah.
How did that first race go for you then? Like you say, it was there's quite a few cars in that category, and
That's
kind of
when
just a
I
whole
my,
massive
my
experience. Oh, that was when you broke your hand. Okay, that's
yeah. So not that well.
not the best start.
Yeah, not the best start.
We'll
No.
move on from that because I'm guessing that was, I suppose, get the injury out the way early, and then you can focus on the racing later.
Yeah.
You were saying as well that you're in a position at the moment where you're kind of just grabbing opportunities wherever you can. Does your passion for motorsport also lead into the fact that you're also a motorsport technician, or was that something that was in the back of your mind for a while, and now that you've got a bit more time, you wanted to do that? Or
Yeah.
tell me about that.
It's like whenever I couldn't find enough sponsors to race, I always growing up I always knew I wanted to study something, because I've always loved studying, and
Mhm.
I always knew I wanted to go to uni to get a degree. And I will always thought like, oh, I want to be an engineer, because I've always loved maths. I always loved physics and everything that involves engineering. I always loved that. And so I knew I wanted to study mechanical engineering. And whenever I didn't get enough like sponsors to get into like racing, like driving, I was like, there's another route I can take to get into motorsport and to be in this world. Like there's so many jobs that people don't think about. Like every team has like thousands of people working on it, not just the drivers, but the drivers are the face
Mm.
of the team, so everyone like is the one that they focus on. But I love cars, not just driving them, so I was like, oh, I want to get into engineering. And whenever we moved to the US, one summer we were gonna stay there, so I wanted to learn more about like mechanics of the cars. So I went to one of my dad's friends has a car repair shop, and I was like, I just want to learn. And I went there. They didn't pay me anything or whatever. It's just I was there like have the experience, and I helped them like fix cars, and I learned a lot. And then that's how I met Rafa, the Rafa Racing, the team that I am now in. And I drive sometimes with them, and sometimes but mostly I just help them with the cars.
It's a good combination though, because even if we just focus on the racing driver aspect of things for a moment, having that inside knowledge, I suppose, of how the car works and what you can maybe do to improve it or see where things are going wrong. You have the obvious example that comes to mind is Alain Prost in Formula One back in the older days of the sport, and you saw what kind of impact that had on his performance there. So it must be reassuring that there's, he's obviously not the only example, but that gives you a bit of extra confidence then maybe when you get behind the wheel again, that you're more connected to the car.
Yes, yeah, that's true. And whenever the drivers like say their feedback, like I know how that feels, and I
understand better.
Sides. Yeah. It's cool. And whenever I'm driving, like I know what can be changed and how. And just actually it was kind of weird for me because I learned everything like in Spanish, like all the car parts and everything. And the hardest thing for me was translating them to English, because sometimes I'm like, I need to change this, but I don't know how to call it.
I don't know
like,
what it is.
And probably like some people say, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about, but I know, but I don't know how to say it. That's the
just hope you keep saying the word in Spanish and hopefully it gets through to them.
Yeah, because obviously Spanish is my first language, so
I was going to say, you kind of answered my next question a little bit, but I was going to ask how you got involved with Rafa Racing and the club there, and I was going to ask what's it been like kind of as part of that, because like you say, you're doing the motorsport technician side of them for a lot of it, but then they also let you get in the car occasionally.
Yeah, they're really. I met Rafa, and he's a really really nice guy. He is trying to support more women in motorsport as well. A lot of the drivers in the team are girls. He's starting to race in the McLaren Trophy Championship with a race driver called Jem Hempworth.
Oh yes.
She's really good race driver. Both of them. Rafa started not long ago, and he's improving a lot. And they did really well. That last weekend they had their first race.
Yes, I think I saw. Yeah. It's just funny the connections that just making. Didn't realize they were all the same people there. It's just a small community.
He's really nice. He's a really nice guy. Everybody, like I feel in that team, we always feel like a family. Obviously, Rafa means, well, his name Rafael, but it's always they always put it like race as family always. But yeah, it feels like a family actually.
It's really good for the marketing at least, if nothing else.
Yeah, but it really feels like a family. I don't know, like it's awesome to be part of their team.
Have you got a fun racing related story either from your time driving or from just being involved in a race on the motorsport technician side that you could share? Aside from breaking your hand, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Let me think about it. I don't know.
Put on the spot now.
You put me on the spot and my head goes blank. Like I've had like big crashes in Formula 4 mostly.
Was this during the testing or?
Yeah, in the testing. We were testing in Barcelona, and whenever the track like gets wet, like when it's pouring rain, it's not that difficult to drive. But when it starts to dry and it's like kind of dry, wet,
mixed conditions.
Yeah, mixed. It gets super slippery, and And then whenever going down the turn 1, I
Mhm.
hit the paint, and I spun and hit the pit wall and ended up on the other side, and that was a scary one. But nothing happened,
Sounds like
thankfully.
you kind of crash properly, though. You're not kind of doing small crashes. You're at
Yeah,
least doing it
no.
the correct way
Whenever I
if
do
you're
it,
going
I do
to.
it right. Yes. But no, I don't think I have any funny stories.
How many times have you crashed then? Just out of
Yeah,
curiosity.
just like proper crashes. I was saying, counting the one with my hand, like the
Mhm.
Barcelona one, and I think and it was another one in Snetterton. I
Okay.
crashed, and that's the only three.
Three different countries. That's then
Yeah,
three
three
different
different
tracks that are
countries.
pretty decent. No,
Yeah,
it's respectable.
yeah. I never crashed in Mexico. That's weird.
Let's not tempt fate.
Yeah, no. I don't have any other stories, I think. I don't know.
I'm sure they'll come to you later after. It's like, damn,
Yeah,
I've remembered all of these now.
yeah.
Um, so, what are your kind of racing plans and ambitions for the future? Have you got anything where you look at it and you're like, I really would like to find a way to do this? You said you're interested in the GT racing, for example, but is that just because it's kind of the nearest thing, or is there something else where you're like, I'd love to go and do that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the nearest thing, and I think it's more how could you call it? Like we if I get into formula cars, it would be you just have like Formula One like
Yeah,
on the
there's
top,
more
and then you have
variety that you can go for
yeah,
within.
there's more variety in GT cars, and I would love to race endurance. I
Mm,
would love to race like this weekend, like the
yeah,
24 hours of Le Mans or
that'd be
something
kind of
like
the
that.
dream goal.
Yes, I would love to. Um, and I don't know that would be it. But as I told you, I love the sport, like every aspect of it. So I would love to be an engineer. Like right now, I think my dream is to be a Formula One engineer, a race
Mhm.
engineer. I would love to be a race engineer. But
Any team
obviously,
in particular,
my
or would you just be happy to be with anyone?
I would be happy to be with anyone. Like whoever gives me a job, I'll take it. But I love McLaren for some reason. I love their
Mhm.
energy. I just I
Uh,
know they're not going it's not going so well this season for them, but I
maybe they need
just
a new motorsport technician. Maybe that's where it's going wrong.
exactly that's what's going on. They need me, but yes, I would love to work with McLaren. But whoever gives me a job, I'll take it. But obviously, if I get the chance to keep racing, I would absolutely do that. That's what I love the most.
Mm.
But
And
just
so
keep my
try and get the best of both
options.
worlds and see if you
Yeah,
can find one way.
yeah, exactly. And I love photography too. So
Well,
I would love to.
there's three pathways in there already. Then
Yeah, I love taking pictures, and I actually whenever I'm with the team with Rafa, I sometimes whenever I get sometimes like from like
you're kind
session
of
to
the
one session
unofficial
to another.
photographer.
Yeah, I just grab my camera. I keep it like on the corner on the side and take pictures. And yeah, actually, I have my Instagram. And my Instagram, I have like the
Little
the
photography.
photography tagged. Yeah, and I love it that too. So to work with a racing team as a photographer, I would love to as well. So I just want to be in the
And so,
sport more
and so,
than
like you
anything.
say, that passion for motorsport in general is it's very helpful then because, like you say, you're not limiting yourself on the opportunities there that you might get, and you never know where that then might lead.
Yes, actually that's true. You don't know where the opportunity is gonna come from, and I've learned that like all the opportunities I've had that with racing, they have come like out of the blue, like from someone you don't expect it, from somewhere you never thought about it, and it's been really great. I think I've had a lot of luck to like
You
find
need it in
my
motorsport, to be fair, though.
yes. You need a lot of luck, like the perfect timing for
Mm-hmm.
everything.
And that's not just on track, just everywhere else as well.
Yeah, yeah, for everything. That's so true.
What then, on the flip side of that, has been the most challenging thing for you to overcome so far in terms of motorsport?
Um, I don't know. Like, I think most of the people would expect like being a girl, like the most challenging thing is like being a girl because of like stereotypical like motorsport is a men's world basically.
Yeah.
Like you look at every team, everything it's white men. but but I think I've never actually like experienced like no one has been mean to me or said like,
Mhm.
oh, you're less because you're a girl or whatever. But in
Well, you were saying
some
as well, you hadn't
races,
even noticed until you got to
yeah,
Texas beforehand that
yeah. In some
you were
races, like
in the minority. So
yeah, that's true. But in some races, like you can see how like some guys like try harder for you to not pass them because you're a girl and girls can be like better than them or
kind of know
whatever.
that.
Yeah. And no one has said anything to me in my face like, oh, you don't deserve to be here or
Hmm.
and I think I've had probably luck or probably there's not a lot of discrimination inside of motorsport, but there's not a lot of girls that want to be in motorsport because they don't see a place for them.
Yeah,
I don't know if
that
you
makes sense.
because they don't see because little girls don't see like girls in that world, so they
No,
don't even think
traditionally.
that's an option. So that's
I said,
probably why there's no girls. It's not that men or the people in motorsport are mean to them or they don't give the opportunity, but it's just like there's not a lot of girls who want to be in motorsport. And now that's changing, obviously
mm.
now.
But
It's
traditionally, it's obviously been a
yeah.
lot. It's not been. It's only in the last kind of 5-10 years that you see
Yeah, and
this slow and gradual change. But even then,
growing and yeah, that's true. And like it's kind of weird because even if you're not like if you don't consider yourself to be like you discriminate or whatever, you have a go-kart and you have you have to like a son and a daughter.
mhm.
You give the go-kart to your son. Like it's automatically you, it's not like you give it a thought. It's not like, oh no, the girls are not as capable, but you think, oh, he's gonna enjoy it more.
It's just that kind of old-fashioned mindset where you don't
Yeah,
realize you're making that decision.
yeah, you're making that decision. And so it's I think it's that's why there's not a lot of girls in motorsport because they don't see
Mm.
themselves they don't see like a representation there. So
Mm.
that's why it's important like to give women like like
Was that
representation.
been something that you've kind of found a bit of a difficulty for you then knowing kind of which way would be the best to go about it and why you've not limited your options in that way because you've not seen like a direct clear path as a result of that or
Yeah, I think probably that's a thing. But it's just like it's not just hard for women, it's just hard for
just hard in
everybody.
general.
It's hard in general. And like if you like I heard Susie Wolf once said that women like a lot of people let me okay uh the guys who start go-karting like every like race driver who starts go-karting there are millions and millions around the world but just a little percentage are girls and from that millions and millions to get like 10 in Formula One
Mhm.
and that little percentage there are girls it's really hard for one girl to be like as good because there's not a lot of girls starting
The
like
statistics and
there's
odds
not
are
a
just
lot of
against
girls
them.
down so that's why you don't see girls probably it's not because we're not capable but because there's not a lot of us trying to
Hmm. So there's not enough to try and kind of level that playing field out a little bit. So,
yeah and it's hard for everybody
hmm.
so
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. On top of everything else, even if you then can get it split 50-50, there's still no guarantee of anything after that.
yes that's why I my because with the sponsor I found when I was racing Formula 4 was like oh we're gonna like start giving you like money whenever you get to Formula 3 Formula 2 I think
Mhm.
and my dad was like and they were like oh yes because we need to like make sure that like you're good
That you're
enough or
capable. Yeah.
whatever and you're capable and but we can't assure you anything. I'm a and my dad was like, "Oh no, thank you," because it's it's a sport when you like put a lot of effort and money into it, but no one like assures you you're gonna get somewhere.
It's kind of very much, I'll sponsor you, kind of, not really. I'll sponsor you later if we think so.
Yeah,
And we'll kind of
when you
maybe
think
say
about
yes.
it, it's okay. Yeah, but yeah, I think that has been like the thing that has challenged me the most, or whatever. Is like not having like a path like to be in it. But I'm just right now I don't think about it that much. I'm just enjoying, and whatever door
I'll say you're
opens, I'll
lucky in
take.
that respect because you've got multiple passions there, like you say, and whichever one kind of comes to fruition, you'll be satisfied in one way or another with it.
Yeah. Yes, and I love also like right now whenever like being in the racing team, I've experienced like being like in the like being with the cars and just like supporting the drivers, and it's also really fun. Like, you know, they finish the race, and if they do well, like you feel like if you like you won the race yourself. It's like the same kind of feeling. Obviously, it's a little different. You don't get the adrenaline or whatever,
but you're part
inside
of that.
the car, but you kind of do. So I've really enjoyed that too. So it's really cool.
A couple of fun non-motorsport related questions to finish off. If you could swap bodies with a celebrity for a day, who would you choose and why?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Swap buddies. Yeah. I would think probably someone like in royalty, like king or whatever. I would love to see how they live. Like I have so much curiosity. Like, how do they get waken up or break fast or whatever? That's
It'd be a very wacky day.
yeah, just for curiosity. But yeah, probably just I don't know, Fernando Alonso, like for like a race day and to see how that feels.
I was wondering how long before a racing driver would come into this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Royalty or Fernando Alonso, some would say they're the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. In Spain, he is.
Yes, definitely. Final question then. Would you rather take a bath every single day for the rest of your life or never have one again?
Every single day.
Every single day.
Yes.
Well then, perfect. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. I want to thank you very much for taking the time out and wish you the best of luck with every different avenue that you're pursuing for the rest of this year and beyond.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again to Constanza for coming onto the Kerbs with me. I can't wait to see how she gets on in the rest of 2023. If you want to follow her career, links to her socials will be in the description below, so do go and check those out. Join me again next time when I'll be chatting to another famous face from the world of motorsport. In the meantime, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, as well as check out the back catalogue of episodes on the On the Kerbs channel. If you want even more from me, you can listen to me chat about everything Formula 1 over on the On the Kerbs podcast, as well as delving into the world of Nitro Cross over on the Nitro RX Podcast. Both are available wherever you get podcasts. As for written content, I currently write for Is It Fast and Paddock Sorority, so be sure to check all of them out with the original pieces released each week. All of the information links for those will be in the description below, as well as my Instagram handle if you want to go and follow me there. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll be back soon with another episode.